Hey there, YouTube. What is happening? Alright, here we go again. If you like my content, hit that like and subscribe button. If you feel the need to support me, hit me up on my Patreon. Link in the description. Okay, we are going to be taking a look at Aminatou, Veil Piercer. It's an older deck tech. Obviously came out during Duskmourn, but I really wanted to showcase this because of how little you have to do to this deck to make it kind of do its thing. We're going to be doing, well, let's just look into it, yeah? Aminatou, Veil Piercer is a 2/4 for 1, a white, a blue, and a black. At the beginning of your upkeep, surveil 2, exile each enchantment card in your hand has Miracle. Its Miracle cost is equal to its mana cost, reduced by 4. So we make big enchantments cheaper if we can manage to miracle them. So let's do some top deck manipulation, yeah? We're going to start with Planeswalkers. Our obvious choice here is Aminatou, the Fate Shifter. We move into creatures. We got ourselves an Ancient Cellar-Spawn, Archetype of Imagination, Arvinox, the Mind Flail, Athreos, Shroud Veiled, Oromancer, Demon of Fate's Design, Doomwake Giant, Entity Tracker, so this was an addition to the deck, Fear of Sleep Paralysis, Inquisitive Glimmer, which I believe is also an addition to this deck, Mesa Enchantress, Metamorphosis Fanatic, Moon Blessed Cleric, Nightmare Shepherd, Ondu Spirit Dancer, Soaring Lightbringer, Starfield Mystic, the Master of Keys, and Zur Eternal Schemer, which is an addition to this deck, up there with Aminatou, Fate Shifter. So 4 cards so far modified. Instants. We have Arcane Denial, Brainstorm, Brain Surge, which is an addition, Ink Shield, Otherworldly Gaze, Return to Dust, Swords to Plowshares, Telling Time, Thirst for Meaning, and Utter End. So 1 card there. Let's look at sorceries. Got Diabolic Vision, Entreat the Angels, Ponder, Portent, Redress Fate, Terminus, and Time Wipe. Next up is Artifacts. Arcane Signet, Azorius Signet, Brainstone, Commander Sphere, Mind Stone, Orzhov Signet, Sensi's Divining Top, this is obviously an addition, and Soul Ring. Next up is the enchantments, which is probably the bigger part of this deck. We'll start out with Bottomless Pool and Locker Room. Cast Out, Cramped Fence and Access Maze, Debtor's Knell, which is an addition, Extravagant Replication, Ghostly Prison, which is an addition, Life Insurance, Mirror Maid, Monologue Tax, One with the Multiverse, Propaganda, which is an addition. Secret Arcade Dusty Parlor. Shadow of the Second Sun, which is an addition. Shark Typhoon. Sigil of the Empty Throne. Sphere of Safety. Spirit Sister's Call. Starfield of Nyx, which is an addition. Eldest Reborn. And Timely Ward. Go into non-basics. We have a Darkar Wastes, Arcane Sanctum, Azorius Chancery, Bojuka Bog, Caves of Koilos, Command Tower, Dimir Aqueduct, Exotic Orchard because it didn't actually come with one, Flooded Strand, which is an addition, Godless Shrine, which is an addition, Halimar Depths, Hall of Heliod's Generosity, Hallowed Fountain, which is an addition, Meticulous Archive, which is an addition, Obscura Storefront, Orzhov Basilica, Polluted Delta, which is an addition, Prairie Stream, which is an addition, Rafine's Tower, which is an addition, Shadowy Backstreet, which is an addition, Sunken Hollow, which is an addition, Undercity Sewers, which is an addition, Underground River, and Watery Grave, which is also an addition. And then finally we have our basics. 1, 2, 3, 4 islands. 1, 2, 3, 4 plains, and 2 swamps. So the biggest changes in this deck, we had 3 changes that were pretty good in the creatures, but the biggest changes were amongst the enchantments and the lands, which is unsurprising to me. The land base almost always is lacking. They don't reprint shock lands in precons. They obviously won't generally add fetch lands to precons. And with the trend on surveil lands, it is unlikely that we will see those added into precons as well. The Triome is unlikely to ever see a precon. These are all things that have basic land types, and aside from things like Prairie Stream and Choked Estuary, which it kind of shocked me that they didn't actually add. Most things with basic land types you just won't see in a precon. But anyway, Aminatou, Veil Piercer. The idea here is to manipulate the top deck so that we can take advantage of Miracle. We have things like Terminus, Entreat the Angels, and Metamorphosis Fanatic, which already have Miracle, so we can also take advantage of getting those on top and getting the Miracle out of them. Utilizing things like Entreat the Angel, Sigil of the Empty Throne, and Shark Typhoon help us get a big token army, specifically a token army with flying, to get over on your opponents and kill them. But it's basically a pretty typical Enchantress deck, but instead of using the cheaper enchantments and taking advantage of things like Mesa Enchantress to be able to draw cards, we can actually start looking at more expensive enchantments, like one with the Multiverse, because they end up being cheaper if they're the first card you draw during your turn. I didn't end up putting Omniscience in here because it kind of feels cheesy. I can't remember if that's on the Game Changer list, but I feel like it should be on the Game Changer list. I wanted to keep this at a bracket 2. I believe we are still sitting at a bracket 2. And I still think that it does a lot of interesting and fun things at that bracket level. And it gave me an excuse to use the Planeswalker version of Aminatou, which had spent a lot of time in my binder. So that was exciting. So yeah, Aminatou, Veil Piercer, top deck manipulation. Yeah. that's it, guys. Until next time. Peace.